Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. Friday morning. I got a Friday freakout to do, and it has to do with the Toronto Raptors coaching staff and some of our former coaches and things. I found out yesterday that you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I haven't done this in a while. I'm gonna do this. It's ringing. Hello, Nick. Hey, this is the Raptors Freak. I know you may not remember me. I'm sorry. I don't want to bug you. I know that you're. Well, I don't know how busy you are. But listen, what is this? You know, listen. You were a coach here in Toronto for 10 years. You went through so much. You went all the way to the top, and now you're gone. And you can't even just like you don't even. I mean, you don't even have to write it down. Just say it. Just go get in front of a microphone and just say it. Just say some things. I don't know. You could say thank you, even if you said fuck you. I don't care. We just want you to say something to us, to Toronto, to the city, to the fans. I don't care if you say anything to the management. I don't care if you say anything to the players. We just feel like we deserve to have you say goodbye or something. Like, what is this, bro? Now I'm hearing you're gonna go interview for the Sixers head coaching job next week. Seriously, this is messed up, bro. Like you seem petty right now. Like you seem really, really petty. Like, did they hurt you that bad? Did Messiah hurt you that bad when he told you he didn't want you to come back? Did he hurt you that bad that you are so petty like this? Because it's the only thing that I can figure that this is what this is that you're petty, that you're not the person I thought you were, that I'm just like, this dude is not professional. This dude is not a good leader. This dude is not a good person. Have you been a sham this whole time, Nick Nurse? Because I feel like you have been a sham because of the way you went out like this. Oh my gosh. All right, fine. Hang up on me. Whatever. You don't have to talk to me. That's what you're doing. You're not talking to us. You jerk. Oh, man. In some ways, I'm really mad. I'm really, really mad. This news has come out yesterday from Pompeii on Sixers or whatever, saying that Nick Nurse is scheduled to have an interview for the head coaching job for the Sixers next week. This is a direct hit. This is like, listen, he's not even getting put prominent on the Milwaukee or anything like he is with the Philadelphia thing. Sixers fans want this, although some Sixers fans are saying he's going to break Joel and we can't have him coach Joel because they know the reality of how Nick coaches. There's a lot of misconceptions, once again, just like Houston Rockets fan nation, about what they thought Nick Nurse would bring to their team. The Sixers fans are kind of going through also right now. They're saying that one of the things they really like about Nick Nurse possibly coaching Philadelphia is that he'll hold their team accountable. You think that? You think that that's true, Sixer fan? That he's going to hold your team accountable? You go ahead and keep thinking that. You keep thinking that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm pissed off about this. We shouldn't be hearing this rumors about him interviewing for other jobs, especially the Philadelphia job, a divisional rival, a team we will have to see regularly. You take that job in Philadelphia, you go ahead, Nick. Yeah, don't tell a lot to me about who you are, and we will get to see you regularly. And I will enjoy the grudge match if you are going to be the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers next year. Yeah, you go ahead and draw that line with the Raptors Freak. You'll see what you get with that. Yeah, this is messed up, Nick. Seriously. Why can't you just be good to the fans, the people that spend their hard-earned money trying to come to those games, all the little kids that looked up to you, all the people in Toronto and the people of Canada that have looked up to you. You're going to still coach our national team and you won't say anything to us in any kind of statement. You don't have the same class as Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer, and Monty Williams. What is wrong with you, Nick? Why couldn't you just make one public statement about your exit with our team? You're that petty. And well, you're okay to go do interviews for other coaching jobs. Dude, there's something lacking with your maturity is what I'm thinking at this point. That's the only way I can read this. You got to do some damage control. Seriously, Nick Nurse. Seriously, you got to do some damage control. At least with the Raptors fan nation. You're not helping your legacy. Let's just put it that way. You do petty shit like this. We don't forget. We do not forget this kind of stuff. And we're going to remember all the bad shit about you right at the end instead of the good stuff from the beginning. And that's what you don't understand. Oh my gosh. You could have just said, thanks for the good times, Toronto. Thanks for, the championship time. Thank you for, the privilege of coaching the Toronto Raptors, which is what you said at the beginning of the season last year. You said it at the coach's open house. I saw it with my own two eyes, sitting in that crowd in real life, not through a TV. You said to us, to be the head coach of the Toronto Raptors is a privilege, and I don't take that lightly. Well, you said that in the middle of the season last year, and I don't know how lightly you took it, but I'm just saying, you knew you had a privilege to do that job. Well, why aren't you thanking? You don't have to thank MLSC if you're mad at them. You don't have to thank Masai Ujiri if you're mad at him, or Larry Tannenbaum, or whoever. But at least thank the fans. At least thank the city. Thank your players. Maybe that's classy, thanking your players, even if you feel like they may be the reason why you lost your job. I don't know. At this point, I really, really don't have a high opinion of you at this point, Nick, that I'm so disappointed in you that it's just come to this point. It's so stupid. So, good news. Besides my freak out and calling Nick and telling him how I feel, we got good news yesterday. This is confirmed that Rico Hines will be on our coaching staff next year for sure, and so will Jim Sand. That these two guys are pretty much maybe the only two people that are okay. But I have heard a couple of other weird things in the last day that have made me really realize like what is possible with our coaching staff from last year sticking around. Now, Rico is a development coach. We know he specifically works with Pascal a lot. So it makes sense that he would still be around. And in some ways, the development coach is somebody that can be fit in on anybody's new staff. I think that the new coach that comes in to coach the Raptors would be very happy to inherit Jim Sand and Rico Hines as personnel, because these guys are top of their fields. We know about Jim Sand and Rico Hines from things that we've seen on Open Gym, that Rico Hines is the creme de la creme of development coach, and that his runs are famous in the summer, and that he's a prestigious person to have on our team to a degree. And we also see that this week he is coaching at the NBA Combine, the young rookie class that's coming in to be drafted. That's a big prestigious thing too. And him representing us as a Toronto Raptors head assistant coach there was fantastic. Now, Jim Sand is an unheralded hero for teams. He's somebody that every team in the league would love to have. That's how he's described. He's just such a good practice coach. He's such a good workout coach. He's the guy, as I've said many times before, that if Pascal or OG or Scotty wants to go to OVO at 4 a.m. in the morning, he's the one who will get up out of bed and get in the car and come down there and rebound for them and give them the ball back. So he's an invaluable guy. He's just a great presence, and he's wealth of basketball knowledge. He's easygoing. He's very humble, and he works really well with anybody. He's been a part of so many different organizations in his career in the NBA, and we are lucky to have him here in Toronto. It may be the kind of thing where he just doesn't want to uproot and leave, and he's got that job. It's just they told him, it's like, Jim, you're not a part of the coaching staff in the way that you're Nick's coaching staff. You are a Raptors coach, that you are a coach for the Raptors. So these two guys will be back next year, and they're actively involved in our pre-draft stuff at the Combine, helping to prep and work out guys for the Raptors in preparation of who we may draft. So I'm really happy to hear this. Now, they've said that everybody else is gone. Everybody else, none of them are coming back. Even the guys from Toronto, John Goodwillie and John Carbascio, they were Nick Nurse people, and they were people that were in his group. So they don't want them. They're gone. They're out. Goodwillie out, Carbascio out, Nate, both Nates, Nate Mitchell, Nate McGorngren, Earl Watson, Nick Nurse, Nate Bjorngren, bam, out the door. Now, there's a little bit of confusion about Jamal McGlure. They're saying that he is still going to be a part of the Raptors organization, but they're not totally sure what his role will be. He may not be on the bench. He may just be doing community ambassador kind of stuff. He does a lot of relations with the community, being a former NBA player from Toronto and living here already. So in some ways, he may be a little bit not in the coaching stuff. And then the other question that's come up recently, and this has been kind of cloudy from Jake Fisher in his report, is that I'm hearing that if Adrian Griffin does not take a head coaching job with another team, he will be back as one of our assistants. That he is actually clear of all this also, and that we would retain Griffin if he doesn't take a head coaching job with another team. And that means even if he doesn't have the head coaching job here, he will be a lead assistant here if we hire a new person. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's totally true. It seems kind of weird and cloudy. I like it because if we're going to lose one of our PhDs, which I don't totally believe at this point, it'd be nice to keep one of the doctors around, Dr. Adrian. And it sounds like that may be the case if he doesn't get one of these other head coaching jobs. So there you go. That's kind of where we're at with our coaching staff right now. Still deep in the interviews. In fact, we're hearing that they're starting to call people back for second interviews. So who knows? The thing I'm hearing for the Raptors and what they're looking for with Bobby and Masai is they really want somebody to hit it out of the park. They really want somebody to knock their socks off. And in some ways that scares me because it could be that a hotshot young coach comes in and really wows them, but they may not be good and they may not be proven. They may have problems, like I said, with having respect from the referees. And I don't necessarily like that. In some ways, I don't care about how they sound in one presentation to y'all, like in Shark Tank. I want them to be the right choice as far as we know that they'll be the right person. And that's why, resume to me in some ways is really important in all this. If we can land one of the big names, that would be fantastic. And as far as I'm concerned, the big names are Budenholzer, Hammond, Stackhouse, Scarioli, Monty Williams. Any of the main candidates that just left big teams, maybe not Doc Rivers, but that have kind of a track record of winning, a track record of wherever they've gone, they've been successful. And I'm not necessarily into the idea of giving a first chance to like Charles Lee or Kevin Young or Chris Quinn, anything like those kind of moves. So we'll have to see how this all goes. The coaching news is coming in slowly but surely, and the process is going very slow. That's what we're hearing, is that it's going very slow. But the thing is, it's not just going slow for us; it's going slow for Milwaukee also. And I'm sure all these teams will be kind of slow moving with this to a degree. The Sixers, apparently they have a very short list, and they're only considering one of those 5 people from that list, and it's Budenholzer, Monty, Nick, Sam Cassell, Mike D'Antoni, something like that. So they're only looking at a very specific list, and they're saying they're only going to hire one of those 5. I think my money's on Sam Cassell for them, but if they hire Nick Nurse, yeah, it's on, Philly. There's going to be a new level of grudge to our relationship. Seriously. Especially since I'm really pissed at Nick right now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. All right, let me look and see what y'all are saying. Y'all filled up the net. I love seeing all the comments this morning. Thanks for being here with me in the Raptor Freak channel. That's right, WNBA starting today, y'all. If you're in our fantasy league, make sure you set up your lineup. And it's really important that you really milk how many people you can play for sure. You want to really wrench out the most juice out of your team. You need to play every available person that you can play every time. There's no limit, and you want to collect stats as much as possible. This first week will start today with the games, the opening night of the WNBA tonight, and will run till May the 28th. So all the stats collected from tonight to May the 28th will go towards your first matchup, your first week matchup. And so thank you to all the other managers who have joined the league. I hope you'll be active, because like in anything, the more you do on the thing, the more you'll be able to win. So please stay on top of things and play all your players as much as possible. There's no limit to how much you play them, Tom Duke. So you can go ahead and overplay them. And I'm seeing you first week, West Coast Raptors, Tom Duke team. Yeah, you're going down to the Raptor Freak Tri-Tops. That's right. I changed my team to the Tri-Tops, baby. Woo! Let's go, WNBA. Get in there and ladies and kick some butt tonight. I want to see some good WNBA basketball tonight. That's right. Isaac's saying, how is it these streams get better in the off season? I have no idea. Maybe you just don't have as much to compare me to because it's the off season. And most Raptors people are like, I'm taking the summer off and I'm crazy, but I won't. I don't know, Isaac. I appreciate that comment. Maybe it's because of you guys and your contribution from the comments, spurring me into crazy places with my mind. Wow. MSJ saying, that's good about Rico coming back. Been hearing talk of Pascal for Portland's pick, Scoot Henderson. Anyone really think the Raptors are going to do something that radical? They could. They seriously could. I mean, this is part of Masai's playbook with the DeMar and Kawhi move. That's a pretty radical move. There's been radical stuff that very big moves that Masai will do. I've talked about this a little bit this week. A lot of us are not into it because in some ways, listen, Siakam is like a body of work that has been built up for like 7 years now. And in some ways, we've really invested that time in him to get to the point where he is right now. Now, some people we're not happy totally with, his clutch factor, him being the number one, but he's still a really solid investment. And it's like, we don't necessarily want to get rid of him. Now, in some ways, you got to look at the equality of it. Is Siakam worth a third pick? And some people say, well, hell yeah, it's Scoot Henderson. But I don't believe that because there's a lot of unknowns still with the pick. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. And in some ways, Siakam is the much safer option to just hold on to. Portland fans like this idea a lot. And in some ways, that kind of tips your hat as to whether we should like it or not. If the Portland fans are really into it, yeah, do it, Raptors. We want Siakam here. That kind of tells us maybe we shouldn't be so eager to do it because they think that they're getting a way better deal. And that's what I'm saying is, I don't know. Is it Siakam for the first pick with San Antonio? Okay, let's do that. But if it's a third pick, I don't know if I'm as happy with that. And that's even like the difference between Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson. Now, I'm hearing weird things about the couple of picks right after Victor, and it really makes a lot of sense. We know Brandon Miller has a huge amount of baggage all of a sudden from earlier this year. Having a part in a murder has been really kind of like bad. And apparently I'm hearing that Brandon Miller's interviews are not impressing people. He's a knucklehead. He's an idiot. I'm pretty sure he is. I could already tell. From the story of how the things went down with the murder of the person that he, in some ways he had a responsibility or a part in, it's kind of scary. And, it could be like GMs and people are asking him questions about that stuff, and they're like not impressed with how he's answering it. I think this kid may have legal trouble coming ahead of him, like in the future. And in some ways, this is like a do not touch toxic person that Messiah definitely wouldn't want to have anything to do with. So it may be very interesting to see what happens with Brandon Miller of Alabama in the first round, whether he's avoided by certain top teams in the draft picking and he drops in the draft to a degree just because of this baggage around this murder that happened and that he had a part in. He really did have a part in some young lady getting murdered earlier this year. And people aren't saying enough about it. They don't want to put a spotlight on it. Some reasons, all kinds of reasons, financial reasons for him personally in different places. Maybe things with the school tried to protect him, Alabama. But yeah, this is a bad situation. Now, talking about Scoot Henderson, he doesn't impress me. I once again said he's not somebody I want necessarily on the Raptors. A lot of Raptor fans think the idea of Scoot and Scotty is cute. But I don't like just alliterative like pairings of teams just because it sounds cool or looks cool like that. I want real results that make sense because they actually do really go together. And just because they're both Scoot and Scott doesn't mean they're going to be a good pair together. In some ways, Scoot is saying he can do whatever. And he could be a backseat. He can be a point guard. He can be the number one guy scoring. He can wait his turn. He can do all this. And I like hearing that. But I'm not impressed with him. Honestly, I think he's an athletic freak and that he has athletic gifts that people get enchanted with. but that doesn't necessarily mean he's fundamentally good or he'll be good for a team. He's maybe symptomatic of like the crop of young players that are very flashy, have amazing athletic skills, but they really don't play the ball game right. And that's what I'm wondering about him. And I don't want those kind of players. I really do like Scotty because he's a fundamentally old school kind of good player. He is really good fundamentals compared to most of the young players these days. And that is part of what Masai and Bobby probably liked about drafting Scotty Barnes, is that in some ways he's different than the young people right now. He really takes fundamentals seriously and he does them. You can tell with the way he dribbles, the way he shoots, the way he does everything. He's paying attention to the fundamentals and doing it the right way. And in some ways, we want a draft pick this year that is like that. I've seen footage of Keontae, and I'm very impressed. Thank you, Monique, for posting that. And this kid is a stud himself. And in some ways, he shares some of the qualities that Scoot Henderson has, Keontae Graham. Now, he's interesting. The thing I liked about Keontae from the footage that I saw of him, which I really looked at closely, is his shooting, his stance. He really has a good form. He's very, very squared up and very, very like sane with his shot. So I can tell this is going to be a good shooter. So, and then you see the highlights of him attacking the rim and his athleticism and his ability to get up. You're like, wow, okay, this guy's not just a shooter. He may be a scorer. He may be able to attack the rim and shoot. So he's a dual threat. And that is very attractive in some ways. So I really am high on Keontae from the combine footage of him that I've seen this week. And hey, Masai and Bobby, thumbs up from the Raptors Freak on that kid. He seems like he would be a good draft pick this year. Yeah, but I'm not about that Portland trade, MSJ. I think that it's something that Portland's pushing hard, and their fans like the idea of it because they really want to be on Dame's schedule for his life and his NBA career. And getting a young player right now and trying to wait for development for them at this stage with his career is not on his timeline. So in some ways, that's why they're rushing to trade this pick, is because they want to get on Dame's time and they want to like get somebody older, and that's why they want Siakam. So it's funny because Lillard is on Twitter messing with fans right now. He did this whole thing yesterday where he said, if y'all don't really want me on Portland, start a petition on change.org. And people made the petition. And there's a picture of him signing it himself. So some people are saying you want to get out of Portland, but you don't want to be the bad guy. So you're trying to blame it on the fans. Trying to get the fans to do the dirty work of separating you from the Trailblazers so you can leave and still seem honorable. It's a weird situation. I think Dame does want to leave, but he's torn because he really is like programmed to be very, very loyal to Portland. And he is really like real when he says, this is my city. I don't need to leave. I don't need to leave to get a championship. Y'all are the one who are like pushing that on me. But that's not necessarily how I feel inside. I could stay here, y'all, and I'd be fine. And he's trying to tell them that. But everybody keeps saying, no, you deserve to get a championship. Get out of there, Dame. You need to leave. So he says, well, if y'all want me to leave so much, make a petition. It's so weird how the players interact with the social media these days. So weird. You hear Kuzma, all his opinions on what's going on in the playoffs, and so crazy some of the stuff he's saying. I'm like, dude, you are a player on another team. I'm sure the Wizards are not happy with you saying this kind of stuff, although you may be a free agent this summer, who knows. And then the behavior of Draymond Green right now is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. If I was a Warriors fan, I'd be pissed at him right now. I mean, really, Draymond, how much do you love the Lakers and LeBron James right now? They just put you out in the last round. And in some ways, you should be bitter. You should be like, I kind of hate the Lakers. Like Warriors fans hate the Lakers. Your fans hate the Lakers. Meanwhile, you're on there like talking up LeBron James and the Lakers every which way on your podcast these last couple of days, telling them how they should do this to beat Denver, saying that you think they're going to do this, standing up for LeBron's legend, just going on and on. It's just such a strong affinity for LeBron and the Lakers that it's signaling that you really do want to play for them next year and you will be leaving the Warriors this summer. But it's so crazy how in some ways social media can be weaponized to get players to be going to somewhere else. And I really feel like that's what Draymond's doing right now. If I was a Warriors fan and I was listening to Draymond glowingly go on and on about the Lakers right now, I would be very pissed at him. I would be like, what are you saying this for? You don't need to say all this stuff. Okay, we get it. You really like LeBron. You really, really like LeBron. We get it, Draymond. Jeez. Yeah, I'd be annoyed with him. Seriously. Tom Duke is saying, Friday Freakout, let's go. And a call to the Nick Nursery. That's right, Tom. I had to call him because I have my Angry Beaver shirt on. That's right. I have my Angry Beaver shirt on. I'm angry at Nick because, oh, you can go interview with Philadelphia, but you can't go talk to Lindsey Dunn for a second and say, I would like to thank the city of Toronto for 10 great years. You know, you can't do that. We came out there and supported you and all kinds of different stuff, Nick. And you can't come out and thank the city of Toronto and the fans. What is wrong with you, bro? Why are you so bitter? How did they hurt you? What did Masai say to you that made you feel like that? I'm starting to think that what you said to Masai was bad when you said, good luck with those guys. I thought you meant like you care about those guys. You want them to have good luck. No, I'm starting to think that you meant like those guys, like they're bad or something like that. Oh my gosh. Like I have to rethink everything about you right now, Nick. And rethink what was this like this? Oh, this is why he's throwing them under the bus in the interviews all the time because he's an asshole. That's what it is. You know, a lot of our fans are saying stuff like Nick Nurse only cares about propping himself up and put him on display in his interviews. You know, they're pointing to Michael Malone's interview after some of the games this week. He's saying stuff like, all right, we beat the Lakers in the first game of the Western Conference Finals. And all y'all could talk about is how the Lakers are going to win the series still. And he's like, y'all just ignore us. You do not give us any shine. And he went off on the press and telling them that the narrative that y'all write is messed up because it's ignoring us and not giving us any of our shine. And he's exactly right. And thank you, Michael Malone, for doing that. And people are saying that's what a coach should be doing in their press conference, putting his players on blast and his team and telling them what to do instead of putting them on blast and throwing them under the bus like he did to Precious and Gary and Chris and other players during his coaching career here. That's what I'm saying, Nick. You could learn something from Michael Malone on how to stand up for your guys publicly like that. So yeah, it's really it's making me mad, Tom. It's really making me mad. Okay, G saying Scoot shoots 27% from three, and he's 6'2". So it's a no for me personally. We need shooting, and Kobe Buffkin's second half splits are 50, 40, 90. And he is 6'5" and a lefty whom could score with both hands. Ooh, gee, that sounds really good, that Kobe Buffkin stuff. G saying also, problem is his stock is rising and now may crack the top 10. He was projected around 13 or earlier. Good draft info. Yeah, the names are going to start coming in. I've heard Kobe Buffkin a little bit. And of course, I've been talking about Keontae already. These are some of the top picks. Nick Smith Jr. is who, Sports Illustrated or somebody's projecting for us. Yeah, I like this. I'm not big on Scoot. Seriously, if he's not a really good shooter outside, he's more of an athlete and a rim attacker, then like he's going to be a consistent outside shooter. Well, we don't need that kind of guard. We don't need that kind of guard right now. We need a good shooter. And I like that 50, 40, 90, what you're saying there, G. I really do. Let's see. Mike's here. Good to see Mike. Logical Raptors fanatic in the house. Check out his channel on YouTube. Great Raptors content, even in the off season, just like me. And guess what, Mike? I would like to formally, cordially invite you to the Saturday Share the Love Club tomorrow. I may be asking you for a graphic today. If you could send me a graphic, I don't know if you have to use a picture of you or just a graphic that you like from your channel that will put you on blast. You're getting put on blast tomorrow, my friend. That's right. Saturday, Share the Love Club, Logical Raptors Fanatic. We're going to celebrate you. Share the love for Logical Raptors Fanatic and all the diligent work he's been doing at his channel recently and his contributions on my channel. We are going to give love to one of our own content creators, Mr. Mike. Logical Raptors Fanatic, it is your Share the Love Club tomorrow, brother. So please send me a picture or something that you would like me to make the cover photo, and you can make it whatever you want that kind of signifies your channel so that we can get you more traffic to your channel with the shine I'm going to put on you tomorrow. All right, Mike? Salute the real ones. Project Truth always deserve. Not going to lie, Nick Nurse was done dirty by the media and fans. I don't know if he was really feeling Toronto at the moment. In my opinion, it's a non-issue. He's not here. Listen, in some ways, it's the optics. It's the optics, Mike. I can see how dirty Mike Budenholzer was done by Milwaukee. I can see, Doc saying, I expect to be the coach next year. Monty Williams. I can see the class and professionalism of these men that were coaches of their teams that got let go recently. And I can see how they turn the other cheek and be the bigger person. I can't see Nick doing that. And I'm judging him for it. I'm sorry. The optics of this look awful. They look absolutely awful and dreadful. He has to get over himself. It's part of the problem right now. It's obvious that he's in his ego and he needs to get over himself. He needs to do the right thing. He's got to realize he's not just dealing with one entity. The Toronto Raptors are just one entity. No, there's a lot of moving parts to the whole thing and the family and the whole thing of it. And in some ways, sure, be pissed off at the ones that hurt you or made you mad or made you petty about this. But don't be mad at the ones who had nothing to do with it. And that's your fans. That's the fans, the people that looked up to you. Seriously, I've looked up to you for a long time, Nick. And I really wanted to believe in you and who you are. And at this point, in some ways, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with him in the future. If this goes even worse, as far as like joining the Sixers and being like a part of the enemy without saying a proper goodbye to us, yeah, this ain't going to be like Casey. I may be like very, very mean and awful in some of the things I say about Nick Nurse in the coming years if he becomes an Atlantic Division opponent's head coach. And I wish he'd just smooth things over with the fans before he left here. He has not done that. Many fans are pissed off at him. Many fans think that he is an asshole at this point. And a lot of them are turning on him and saying a lot of like things in their opinions that are not flattering. And that's what I'm saying. He should have done this for a PR reason. Once again, I really feel like his degree is faulty because he's not showing good leadership. If you have a PhD, a doctorate in leadership skills, Nick, you're failing, bro. You do not have better leadership skills than Doc Rivers right now. That's the way I look at it right now. You do not have better leadership skills than Mike Budenholzer, and you do not have better leadership skills than Monty Williams. And that's just purely because you have not said anything to the city of Toronto or the organization about your exit. You just silently left in a pissed off huff. And that's pissed off me because of that. It's messed up. It's so messed up. MSJ saying, so gee, why is Scoot so highly rated? I have watched a bit and he looks explosive. Well, he's MSJ. He's a kind of player that is really like attractive for highlights and like doing really incredible things that people will be like, wow, you can get behind that kind of stuff and enjoy it. But sometimes that stuff doesn't win you championships. Sometimes that stuff is a distraction. And sometimes that stuff is not fundamentally good. And that's what I'm trying to say is I've watched him on the G League level with the G League Ignite, and he didn't look fundamentally good. He looked athletically talented like a stud. But there's stuff about his game that is not, and he messed up. He got mad in the middle of the game. He got thrown out. So there's different issues I have that I'm worried about with him, and that I'm not as high on him as everybody else. I never saw him as being close to Victor. Victor and him were widely apart, and a lot of people were saying, well, they're kind of close, and they could be kind of like both could be one. I'm like, no, you telling me they both could be one? One is 6'2", and one's 7'4". And the 7'4" one can actually shoot threes, and the other guy is not as good at threes. The 7'4" one can do all this kind of stuff. They're not the close in any kind of way as prospects. So I was like, who the fuck thinks that these guys are almost equal? And Scoot thinks he should be number one over Victor. You fucking crazy, Scoot Henderson. You are crazy if you think that. Let's see. G-San, imagine Embiid, Harden, and Nurse all yelling at the refs. Listen. Well, Harden's already out. This is hilarious. Harden says, all right, I want to go back to Houston. And he says, I'm probably leaving Philly, but he still manages to get Doc fired before he leaves. In fact, there's a report out yesterday saying that Doc Rivers was pushed out by an effort by James Harden, that he was one of the main people telling them to fire Doc and to get him out of there. Then they didn't really get along that well. Doc thought that he got along well with James, but James didn't really think that he got along well with Doc. And that's the thing with James Harden. You think you get along with him, but he's this weird guy that he's like behind your back. He's probably selling you out. So that's the funny thing. He gets Philly to fire their coach, and he's probably going to leave this summer anyway. Now it's going to be crazy. Like, what if Joel leaves too and goes to Miami somehow, some way, and Philadelphia's okay with it because they know Nick Nurse might break his knees from running him too hard? I don't know. There are Philly fans that are worried that if they do get Nick Nurse, that Joel may get a lot of injuries because he's getting overworked. See, this is the kind of stuff that I think is hilarious, considering what we've gone through with Nick Nurse over playing our players. Well, do you have a Siakam on your team? Your Cameroonian is not going to have that kind of endurance like Siakam, Embiid. Yeah, you could run him into the ground. Seriously, I thought in some ways, if they do hire Nick, it's kind of like how I feel about like Houston. So be it. Let's see how this goes. Philadelphia may have been counting on Doc Rivers for their winning more than people realize. And Nick's not necessarily going to come in there and be successful. Watch. I'll bet you money. In some ways, his success has been a lot predicated on the wave of coming in and winning the championship in his first year with us. And it's kind of like, everybody says that Masai and Bobby have been mid or not very good since the championship year, but that's not actually the truth. It's Nick who's been mid and kind of since the championship year. And since the year's been, he's gone, and it's not Bobby and Masai. It was Nick who was kind of flailing down since he peaked his first year and it's gone. That's kind of how it went for him. I guess I should go this way because of the camera. All right, let's keep going. Space Cadet's here. Good to see Space Cadet, a great Raptor freak. Nick Nurse interviewing with Philly, but can't say a few words about the Raptors. Somebody's butt hurt. I know, Space Cadet. What is this, Nick? Seriously, bro, you don't see the optics of this? Can you watch me? Just hear what I'm saying and just say something. I don't care if it's one sentence. Thanks, Toronto. It's been great. That's all I need. If you just said that, I'd be like, all right, it's not much, but I'll take it. You didn't have to say a whole lot, and you can exclude everybody you're mad at. You don't have to say thank you to them. You could just say thank you to the fans. I think we deserve it. We really do. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. Maybe he still thinks he's employed because he's working with the national team. I know I'm reaching. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because he's made a statement saying he's still with the national team, and the Canadian Basketball Association has said, he's still our coach. They confirmed it. So he has had contact talking to people in the public. It's just that he didn't make that move to say something. I don't know what it is, Infamous. It's so weird. It is so, so weird. I don't get it. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. TGIF. Many interviews and options. Trust in Masai as he will find the perfect fit for us. If Nick Nurse goes to Philly, the MVP will now have to abide by his route and in reference to the foul complaining. Well, this would be interesting because Joel's told him to shut up and stop complaining so much. Well, I wonder if he would do that to him as his own coach. Nick, shut up and stop complaining to the refs so much. Oh, wait, you're doing it to help me? Go complain more. That'll be a little hypocritical, Joel, if you're giving Nick the green light to start complaining to the refs after you told him not to. In the recent year. Yeah. G saying Scoot's explosive and athletic for sure, and a great slasher, and he has a great physique already, but does not shoot well and is still undersized, in my opinion. I believe he will have a harder time getting to the net in the NBA. That's right. These are all things you got to discount guys for. And with a stature like that he's going to really have to work hard to get his shots open. And that physicalness may be attractive and that strength, but in some ways that's better for a power forward. I mean, strong guards are good too. Don't get me wrong, but man, he's just not the right kind of player profile for what we need for our team. In fact, he may be going in the wrong direction to help us with our offensive problems and also our shooting. That he may be going the wrong direction. If we value him and try and get him for trading Siakam, I don't think that's a good move. Seriously. I do not think that's a good move. I'm not interested in their pick. I may be interested in other people's picks, but not theirs. Maybe we move up just a little bit from 13 to like 8 or 9 or something. Or maybe we just stay at 13. We'll be fine. I don't know. We'll have to see what Masai does. Trust in Masai. Trust in Masai. Mike's saying, looks like Masai is holding the Siakam people and going to bring in different lead voice. Yeah. I mean, all signs are to that. I mean, of course, you've made the draft pick of Koloko. You've brought Jakob back. Now, there is a little bit of noise saying that the Spurs may try and lure Jakob back in this free agency period this summer. Although Jakob seems like he's totally committed to being with us. And I think he's happier here. Like he's already kind of let it be known what he wants to do. And that may have been a detriment to him in his negotiations this summer, but I don't think he cares. I think he just really values being in a stable, secure kind of like path going towards what he wants. And he wants to be in Toronto. But there is a little bit of talk saying that maybe he should be back in San Antonio next year with Wemby because Wemby doesn't want to play center. And in some ways, the Spurs need a center to play next to him. So there's a little bit of chatter from Spurs Nation in different places saying they need to re-get Yaka back from us this summer in the free agency. Ooh, well, hopefully he just sticks to his word and he sticks here with his buddy Pascal and the Toronto Raptors. I think that's what's going to happen. But there's a little bit of talk, murmurs about that around the NBA. But I think that he's loyal and I think he's going to do what he says. He's the kind of person that seems like that, Pirtle. So I'm not totally worried about this, but there is a little bit of grumblings that this is possible. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak Crew. Raptors have their own staff outside of the head coach and their organization. They are part of Raptors organization, not a head coach staff. That's right. Jim Sand for sure. And I guess Rico Hines also. It was a little cloudy with Rico because of his friendship with Earl. And in some ways, I hope that he wasn't like DeMar DeRozan was when he visited UNC when he was getting recruited by them. There's a story that DeMar told in the interview with Paul George this week where he said he went to UNC to be recruited by them when he was figuring out what school he was going to go to for college. And he brought Romeo with him, who's like the son of Master P or something like that. I don't know. He's a little kid and he was around his age and he was his buddy from school. And he wanted the UNC to sign his buddy too with him. Then he would come to play for the Tar Heels. He said he wanted to play for the Tar Heels because they had blue jerseys like his high school. And that does matter to him that he likes wearing blue jerseys because of his background in Compton. And that he wanted also to kind of because of Michael Jordan kind of stuff. But when they told him that they didn't want his friend Romeo, he passed and he left and he went to USC. So that's an interesting story to me that DeMar almost was a Tar Heel. And if they'd just taken his little friend on the team also, he would have played for them. It's cool. Even DeMar said that he picked the number 10 because that was Kobe's Olympic number. So if you guys ever wondered why DeMar DeRozan wears the number 10, he wears it because Kobe wore it in the Olympics. And he didn't want to wear Kobe's straight up number in the NBA. He wanted to be different. So he was wearing Kobe's Olympic number. Did you guys know that? That's why he's 10. Some people said, oh, is it because of Comp 10 and the whole thing with he's like, no, we just found that out later that it was nice and it fit like that. But yeah, it's the whole reason is because of Kobe's Olympic number that DeMar wore number 10 in his career. There you go. That's a little Raptor Freak fun fact from that I just learned this week. Kind of interesting. All right, let's see. Monique is here. Good morning to superfan Monique Lawrence. Always happy to see Monique's presence in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Let's go Raptors. At least we got some news. Yeah, just a little smidge of news. All right, Monique, set your WNBA team for tonight. Get in that website and just mess around with it a little bit. Put all the players that are playing with that time in that column in there for tonight so you can gather as many points and stats to compete in your matchup. Yeah, we got first week matchups starting tonight. WNBA fantasy. Let's go. G saying, having said that, Scoot may have that dog in him and his shot could improve and he could be amazing. Never underestimate someone's will to get better. But to trade Pascal for an undersized guard, yeah, I don't like the way that smells at all. And that's a lot of he could, and then maybe he could do this, but that's not really like concrete. He will do this. That's what I'm saying. That's predicated on whether he can, whether he has the gumption to. He may very well have that Russell Westbrook dog in him. In some ways, he reminds me of Russell Westbrook a lot. He's built very similar to him. So that is kind of the template for him. And we see what Russell can do. That's maybe what people are espousing off of what he looks like to be like, maybe they project him to be like Russell Westbrook. I don't know. He's still not attractive to me as a player for the Raptors. He just isn't. He's just not the kind of player we need right now. Infamous is saying not a fan of Rico. Kings let him go and got better, and then we hire him, we got worse. I think that that's just a weird coincidence, and it really doesn't have anything to do with him. I think it's just the timing of what was happening with both franchises, and it's really kind of independent of Rico. In some ways, what we've just been saying is he's not totally like a head coach or like staff. He's a development staff guy. And that's a whole different kind of thing as far as how you contribute to whether your team wins or loses. He's a good presence. All the players call him Uncle. And he's just a really good guy to have around for energy, pepping people up, a honest opinion, all kinds of stuff. So I kind of pushed this line of thinking earlier this season, Infamous, but I'm gonna let it go and just trust that Rico's just a cool guy and he's good for our team no matter what. And this is just dumb, weird timing, like coincidence. The Sacramento was on their way up, and he could have easily still been in Sacramento if we'd not lured him away, and he would have been a part of this uptick with Mike Brown also. So I'm not going to push this narrative anymore with Rico because I don't think it's fair to him. And I think that in some ways, his responsibilities on our team this year had nothing to do with any of the head coaching stuff. It really has to do with practice. It has to do with mindset, talking to the guys. It has to do with development. And that's why I'll kind of like, I'm going to protect him at this point. He's definitely someone going forward with us. So I'm definitely not going to think he's part of the problem. Josh Monroe's here. Good to see Josh every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We are talking Raptors in the morning, daily news, whatever is happening. We are talking about it. Let's see. Josh is saying maybe Nick will rehire them at his next position. That's probably true. He probably will bring some of those guys. I would bet Nate Bjorngren will be standing next to him, even if it's a bad idea. I don't know about Earl Watson. He may not be going with him if they got in a fight this year. But those other guys, maybe Good Willie and some of those other guys, maybe that might be right, Josh. It sounds like it could be. MSJ saying, honestly, at this point, who is Nick Nurse? Time to forget. It's becoming obvious he gave up on the team over his own ego being hurt or something. Who cares? And so long, Nick. And at G, decent take. There you go. MSJ, that's a very adult, really good way. Maybe I'm this kind of person who wants closure. I think that's part of it. You know what? I need to be more like you. And just like, who gives a fuck? You want to fucking do this, Nick? You want to leave like that? All right, fine. Then we don't care. In some ways, like, all right, I'll become really apathetic on him. Oh, yeah, Nick Nurse. I'll be like Butch Carter with Nick Nurse at this point. Okay, Butch Carter, Nick Nurse. Yeah, these are coaches that, I'm not that enthusiastic about anymore. I would have put you in there with Lenny Wilkins and Dwayne Casey, Nick. But you're falling down to Butch Carter level now in my rankings of coaches, even if you are our championship coach so far. Oh, man, this is crazy. Cool Cat saying, I would be glad to have Adrian Griffin remain if he does not get a position on another team. He's independent of Nick Nurse, and he was there in the Casey era. Yes, and yes. In fact, that is part of the reasoning behind it. Cool Cat is saying that he was a part of our team before also. So it makes sense. In some ways, they're very good friends, and they did much to value working with each other, and they were in the same program with their PhDs. But he's separate, and he's I guess hopefully he's safe from the exits and stuff. We'll have to see what happens if Adrian gets hired. Well, obviously he's gone, but if he isn't, then he has a job here apparently still. So that's good to know at least. Monique is saying to us here. Let me see. Jumped ahead. Let me make sure I get all the comments. What is Monique's comment? La 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 la. Jamal Murray making the Lakers look stupid by the highlights. I love that you brought up the game last night. Yeah, of course I need to talk about this. The Lakers had a really good chance to beat the Denver Nuggets, but look at our guy from Canada, Mr. Jamal Murray, Mr. Blue Arrow, coming up big in the fourth quarter, getting over 20 points and taking the Nuggets home to win game 2 of the Western Conference Finals last night. That was huge performance by Murray. And of course, Jokic getting another triple-double. He has a streak of triple-doubles right now. Very impressive. And then Jamal Murray breaking records for 20 points in playoff games. This is a really cool stat. He's done this 4 times in his career where he's had 20 or more points in a fourth quarter of a playoff game. You know that Michael Jordan only did it twice. You know that Allen Iverson only did it twice. Well, Jamal Murray's done it 4 times. So he's done it the same amount of times as both of them put together. That's impressive to me. Jamal Murray is a real one, and he will win you games. And I want to see you go get that championship. You go get it, Canadian. You are a badass, Jamal Murray. We love you. And I love the whole thing with you pointing, all the thumbs up with LeBron. He had to point and Mike Breen and say bang. So good. You go. And we're seeing the depth of the Denver Nuggets beating the Lakers. The Lakers, they just don't have the quality depth through their whole entire team like the Nuggets do. These guys have more guys stepping up and getting in double digits. Meanwhile, the other end, they're really were like laboring with Rui Hashimura being their leading scorer for them last night. AD absolutely not showing up like he has at times. That's what I'm saying. He's every other game consistent. And then LeBron didn't even have a very good game last night. So, yeah, this is how it goes for y'all. You lose and you're down 0-2. And I love it. I love it so much. You go Denver. Do not stop. Go get the games in LA and sweep their asses right on out. Yeah, I love to see that. Jokic, build your legend. Put yourself in the conversation as one of the greatest centers in the history of the NBA. You already are in that conversation, but you could really make some good, strong evidence for you very soon by putting out King James in the Lakers and go and get a chip. Get a chip. You get that chip. That is the thing that makes you bona fide real fast. Real fast. All right, tonight we got the next game for Boston and Miami tonight. As what is it? Game 2? Game 2 of Miami and Boston tonight. Here's your ref report. The crew is Zach Zarba, James Williams, and Tyler Ford. Zach Zarba favors the Miami Heat pretty heavily over the Boston Celtics. James Williams is the other way. He favors the Boston Celtics over the Miami Heat. And Tyler Ford, the third ref, is actually favoring the Miami Heat also. So we got two refs that favor the Miami Heat historically in game 2 against Boston in Boston. Let's see if Boston continues to have a hard time winning in Boston at home. James Williams is your friend, Celtics. The other two guys are not. I'll tell you that right now. So I like this ref crew for Miami to maybe do the same thing that Denver did, get a 2-0 lead over the Celtics. And that's even worse for the Celtics because it's in their own home and they got to go to Miami next. Woo! NBA playoffs is fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Coquette saying Rico has been working Raptors for many years since the Kyle Lowry and DeMar era, and he is Pascal's coach from day one. That's right. And I think it's also because, like, seriously, we just got him last year. He wanted a multi-year contract, and it could very well be that his contract's different than some of the other coaches. It may be a little bit more lucrative and more guaranteed. And that may be part of the whole thing, too, is that he's guaranteed to stay anyway. And he may have had that up front when he came in. He may have been like, well, if you guys fire the coach, I want to be immune and be able to stay no matter what. This could have been all worked out in his negotiations from before. And Masai will be like, I see the value of having you in this associate in our organization. I will go ahead and give you that clause, Rico Hines. So if we do fire Nick Nurse, I'm not going to fire him. Don't worry. Haha, we love him here. You'll be fine. And then boom, things happen. And then he does get fired. And Rico has an immunity clause in his contract because that's the only way he would have came to Toronto. He's like, I don't want to come up here just for 1 year. That kind of thing. It could be something like that. Mike's saying Murray has been a dog. People forget Murray went block to block with Kawhi and took game 7 from him. And then like that Twitter about left Canada to be booted by a Canadian, he's been a gamer baller. I don't totally understand what that means. Then like that Twitter about left Canada to be booted by a Canadian. Oh, he liked the comment on Twitter is what he did. That's funny. That's pretty good. I like that. G saying maybe Nurse is waiting to get another job to do a 2-in-1 letter saying thank you to Toronto and looking forward to the new team. I'm probably reaching too. Yeah. Does that sound likely? I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to get it. And it's just going to have to be that way. I don't know. This is really weird. It really does tell a lot about him in some ways. Like he's fake. It's a very fake kind of like egotistical person. Is what I'm getting from the vibes from this, that it's very much was about him the whole time. And we didn't even realize it. This is the only way, like people with very deep ego problems act like this. That's part of the problem. He can't get over his emotions to do what's right in the moment. then it's his ego. He has an issue with his ego. And it really taints my whole thinking of everything he done in the past with the Raptors. Like every situation that happened, I'll be like, well, now, okay, I wanted to think the best about him in that situation, but now I can't because more of the truth of him has come out. It's that kind of stuff. Really, I think you're reaching, G. If he does do it at the same time, hallelujah, thank God. And he will get some points back with me. That's the thing. You can redeem yourself, Nick, real quick by just like putting something out today. Just do it, even if it looks late and it looks kind of real, like not real or authentic or kind of like half-assed. I don't care. Just give us something. The Philly fans, even if they don't deserve a message from Doc Rivers, they got one within hours of his firing. Budenholzer, same, like 3 days after his firing, when he got fired after his brother got killed in a car accident, and then Monty Williams the same day also. So it's like this ridiculous, Nick. You could have done this. Did I not miss it? Has anybody seen it? Is there something is out there and I didn't see it? I've looked everywhere. I have not found it. And I don't think it exists. If it happened and I'm just like stupid because I didn't see it and this is all dumb what I'm saying, well, my bad. But I have not seen it. I have not seen it anywhere. Fiercely saying, happy for the Nuggets win. Watched a portion of Michael Malone's presser saying, despite them winning game one and Jokic getting his 13th triple-double, narrative is still around the Lakers. Jeez. It's just a symptom of the NBA and its stupidness and how much they put the Lakers so important, even if they're a horrible team. We've seen that the last couple of years. ESPN talking about the Lakers constantly. Charles Barkley telling people, like, why are we talking about the Lakers so much? They suck. We shouldn't put them on TV, and we shouldn't be talking about them so much. And he's exactly right. Well, what they're doing fairly well, of course, they're going to put them on blast to the max, even worse. It's partly the Lakers fan nation's fault. It's partly the ESPN's fault. And it's partly their over self-importance kind of mentality of themselves. And, well, that's why I want them to eat humble pie and go ahead and lose to the big Joker and the Blue Arrow. Yeah, you go Nuggets. You're badasses. I love it. All right, Nameless is here. Okay, let's see. Monique is saying Nick Nurse in Philly. Laugh out loud. That's hilarious. Yeah, I know it is kind of funny. We'll have to see how that goes. You go ahead and try that, Philly. Wow. All right, Nameless is saying Andiamo Genti. Andy Amo Gente. Okay, I said it right. Let's go, people. All right, my Italian lesson for today. Andiamo Gente. Let's go. Yes, I like it. Name is saying 1-for-1 swap. Pascal for third overall is a gross overpay for Toronto. Gross. Yeah. Yeah. What is this like time accumulated into Siakam? People don't realize that value and how that needs to be factored in. Time accrued, time invested in the legend and building him to be the player that he is at this point. Is this worth a third round pick that we don't know if they're going to be good or not? Who are we going to take, Scoot or Brandon Miller? And in some ways, that third round pick is determined by what happens with the second pick with the Charlotte Hornets. Victor is going to go to San Antonio. But in the second pick, it's cloudy whether the Hornets will take Miller or they'll take Scoot Henderson. So what if they take Scoot Henderson with the second pick and pair him up with LaMelo Ball in Charlotte, and then all of a sudden our best prospect after trading Siakam is Brandon Miller, an accessory to a murder in Alabama, a character question? Yeah, no, we don't. That doesn't sound like that would work in any kind of way. So yeah, I'm not with this. I'm not with this. Sorry, Portland. You may need to find another dance partner for your third pick that you're trying to unload for something. Yeah, Fiercely saying, also, Lex, to your point, the commentators mentioned yesterday that the Lakers are number one in going to the free throw line, hence helping them win games. This is totally true. I mean, we knew this. They have a red carpet rolled out for them to get more points and manufacture them. And it's part of the way they prop them up and help them along. Well, the efficiency and amazing offense of the Denver Nuggets says, we don't care. You go ahead and give them more free throws. We're going to be so efficient, so good, and so overwhelming. We will beat any freaking team. And that's what I say is like, if you want to win in this league, be like the Nuggets and just be so good that you can't cheat to beat them. That they'll beat you anyway, no matter what. And that really is kind of what's happening with the Nuggets. They may try and help the Lakers win these games in weird ways, but it doesn't matter. The Nuggets are so good, they will overcome it. And that's what I'm saying. But you're exactly right, Fiercey. And then the commentators say it, and they'll say, "Oh, well, LeBron's aggressive. He's always going the basket. He gets hit all the time." There's some truth to that. But there's also truth that he's a golden boy, and you could breathe on him, and he's on the free throw line. That's true also. Nameless is saying grosso in Italiano. Grosso. Yes, a lot. I think that's what that means. A lot. Death 4K is here. This is an old school Raptor freak. We love you, Death 4K. Even though we haven't seen you for a while, we appreciate you dropping in and say hello. It's been good to see you. Portland does not like Siakam. They want us to add OG. On top of this, they prefer McHale. To be honest, Siakam is not box office and is not regarded as an all NBA caliber guy that we see him as. Well, a death. The thing I'm seeing is the graphic with Siakam in the Portland jersey, and I'm seeing the Portland fans talking about him like crazy. I know that it was OG was the flavor of the Portland like wanting him on the team before, but in some ways they've directed it more to Siakam recently, which is very strange. In some ways, it's like I'm not making this up or saying it like coming out of my head. I'm going and looking at what Portland Trailblazers Twitter is saying, and they got Siakam as in their sights in this whole thing. That's the way they look at the deal. And maybe they're hearing things from like murmurs around their organization that that's who their management is targeting and who they want. I don't know, but it is true. It would make more sense for them in some ways to get OG and Mikal Bridges. Sure, he's probably I could see somebody that they value too because they're similar, him and OG. But I think they'd be very happy to get Siakam. At least what I'm reading on there from their fans, they're saying, "Yeah, let's do this right away. We need him with Dame to try and win now." Is what he's trying. They're saying they don't care if he's not a good first option. They want to pair him with Lillard and have Lillard be the first option and Siakam be the second option. So it's attracted to them in that way. MSJ saying Hammond is not a no for me. Imagine a male WNBA coach bullying a pregnant player. What kind of person would bully a woman for being pregnant? Imagine Bill Laimbeer having done so as the Aces coach. Laugh out loud. All right, I'm glad you brought this up. And Infamous came at me in the comments the other day, and I agree with you guys. I'm not, you know what? You're right. In some ways, I was kind of being jokey, but I wasn't taking the whole situation as seriously as I should have. In some ways, it's that kind of thing where it's like I like the drive to win. We've talked about like morals and selling them out just to be better and to win. We had to talk about that a lot with M.A. Adoka. It's like if we got him as the head coach, well, we kind of sell out our morals in certain ways, in some ways. And in some ways, that's maybe where I'm at with this. And that's why I was like, oh, I like the idea of her caring so much that she wants to win, that she was awful to this woman that was pregnant. Yeah, maybe I should was short-sighted and kind of being too jokey about it. It is a very serious issue, and it isn't right what she did. You guys are right. And I know why you guys are saying hard pass on her, and I get it. But in some ways, I would still hire her. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I know maybe I should, but in my world, I don't care about that kind of stuff. You got to be tough, and sticks and stones is kind of where I'm at with these kind of things. And a coach can be very fiery. And sometimes I worry about the players being a little too sensitive because they're soft. And in some ways, these kind of issues are happening in the WNBA just like they are happening in the NBA. And that's part of it too. I mean, I shouldn't stand up for Becky in this situation, but for some reason, I want to play devil's advocate. Now, the writing's on the wall that she is not going to be coming to the NBA this year. She said she's completely focused on the Aces, and obviously she should be because they were starting their season tonight. And I like that in some ways. I don't think this is going to be the year that Becky Hammon makes a jump to the NBA. So I think that we don't have to worry about her being the next head coach of the Raptors because in some ways we're not trying hard enough to go lure her away and get her back. We're not whining and dying her like she said that she needs to be to get to come to the NBA. Now, is one of the other franchises going to do that? Maybe. I don't know. Will she be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns next year? I don't know. Milwaukee? I don't know. Philly, probably not. But that's what I'm saying. I appreciate y'all coming down on her because you're right. There's even some talk that have said that what she did to that player is illegal and criminal, and that there's laws in Canada that she would have been prosecuted and put in jail for that kind of abuse towards a pregnant woman. So, it's a tough situation. In some ways, I really do respect the competitor in her, and I understand that's part of this whole equation. But I don't understand that other sensitivity in some ways myself, partly because of my own life. But I get from the outside hearing other people's opinions why they're upset about it and they're passing on her and they're not interested in her because of this kind of abusive talk to her pregnant player in the WNBA. So I'm getting it, and I understand. I respect that you guys are saying no on her right now, and you know what? In some ways, I'm kind of leaning towards it because it does seem like it would be an extra sideshow that's not worth it with the Raptors. If we did get her and now she has this kind of baggage, it could be somebody trying to saddle her with this baggage to a degree to hurt her chances to get, the way that the case came out, it could be very well this. Think about this. The WNBA wants her to stay because she's very high profile. She's the champion coach. This whole thing that with a super team in Las Vegas is a big deal. And if she took the job in Toronto or any other NBA team right now, that may hurt the luster and the allure of the league. So they already had an investigation into her with this situation. That the timing of it all coming out right in the middle of all this may have been very, very much kind of like timed right to kind of submarine her and maybe hurt her chances to get an NBA job. And I get that makes total sense because they don't want her to go somewhere else. And this does kind of hurt her stock. So, I question that because especially since this investigation had been going on for months, they could have done all this a couple weeks earlier before the season it was even getting close. But they did decided to do it now and suspend her for a couple games at the beginning of the season. I like her, and if she gets through all this controversy right now with this player and this situation, and there's in the years to come, and things line up where she could be our coach in the future, I'd be okay with it. But can see why a lot of people would not be. And you know what? In some ways, it makes more sense for her to just end up on the Spurs eventually after Popovich retires. It's just the way it's all been set up already, anyway. And it's kind of like I don't know. But I get it. Well, you guys are a hard no now. And I think in some ways I am at this point just because of the baggage, just because of the timing with the WNBA season starting today. It doesn't make any sense. It's not likely. It doesn't sound like she's very have the gumption to go and get the NBA right now. It's really doesn't sound like she's interested. So I'm with you on this. It's like, all right, we're gonna say no to Hammond at this point. We can change that on the spreadsheet. Seriously, I'm okay with that. It's too much baggage and it's not the right timing. Trevor's saying, good morning, Jamal, and then the Nuggets run over the Lakers. You can see LeBron running out of gas. Yeah, I mean, the dude is up there. He's what, 40 or something at this point? That's what I'm saying. It's going to be very interesting to see if the Nuggets can win in LA now. That's been a place where the Lakers have done very well in the playoffs so far this year. They've been winning all their games at home with Jack Nicholson at courtside. Well, let's see how they do with the Joker versus the Joker. That's right. Wait until they get a load of me. Ha ha. Yeah. Jack Nicholson and the Joker. Joker and Joker. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be cool. Infamous is saying Pascal for the third is a horrible idea. Henderson is underside and all hype. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, look, the product, if Scoot Henderson is a product, is a lot of hype attached to it. And you got to realize that the value of him may be inflated because of hype. There's a lot of that. I worry about that. When people really annoy people and they start talking so big about them, I don't totally necessarily believe right away that I'm more skeptical of new names coming in because you got to realize who they are and see what happens and see how it happens when they jump in the NBA. You can look at Scotty as a good example of this. He had no idea what the NBA was going to be like until he got in there and really found out how physical, how much faster, how much stronger everybody is. And that he had to adjust and make that adjustment. Some guys do not realize the league is totally different than college or anything they've done before. And they don't really adjust to it well because it's not as easy as they thought to compete and be as badass as they were against lesser talent. And that's the thing you got to worry about, especially with somebody who's undersized. Let's see. Isaac saying we are getting Sergio back. In some ways, he seems like the favorite. It really does seem like he's the favorite. There's certain things about it. Obviously, he's got an easy path just to come back and do this. And it did seem like that meeting to fly all the way to Italy to do that. And the kind of the vibes and the things that happened afterwards, it kind of does seem like he is one of the top candidates in Masai and Bobby's mind right now. And if they announce that Sergio is going to be our coach, I would not be shocked. I really would not be. Tony Wiley's here. Good to see a new name. Tony, Raptor Free Channel every day. We're talking Raptors. I'll read all y'all's comments. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what Tony's asking. I know this is random, but I just seen a clip of an NBA ref looking disappointed when Jimmy Butler hit a big shot when game one was in crunch time in the fourth quarter. Was that referee Eric Lewis? Eric Lewis, I want to call something out on Raptor Free Channel about him. Other people know this already, so it's common knowledge, but we have not talked about this here specifically. One of the things about Eric Lewis that I've became more aware of recently is his lifelong fandom of the Boston Celtics. This is true. Like, this is so crazy. It's well known that him and his family are huge Celtics fans, and they've been Celtics fans since he was a little kid. And he puts that stuff on blast. There are pictures of Eric Lewis in Celtics jerseys all over the place. So if you ever see Eric Lewis refereeing the Celtics, it's not fair. It just isn't. He has a bias towards them because of his personal fandom that he has been let very well known that his family and him completely are Celtics nation. And that seems like a conflict of interest. So was that ref's face, Tony Wiley? Was that Eric Lewis who made that face? Ah! Oh my gosh. But I'm saying there's evidence in weird things like this. That's the thing. We can overtake the corruptness of the refs by being that badass and that good. And that's what I want the Raptors to do as a team. Beat the machine, beat the refs, get a second Toronto Raptors NBA championship against the will of the rest of the league and what they want. You just have to be that much better and that good, like Jokic and the Nuggets, and you can overcome it. Same thing with Miami Heat. They are overcoming this, maybe against the script. There's a dumb post I saw on Twitter yesterday that somebody manufactured a facsimile post of the script, quote unquote, and it has dates on it and everything. And if it comes true, I'll be like, wow, the script was right. It's saying that the Lakers will beat the Nuggets in Game 7 and go to the finals and then beat. I think it was Boston. They're going to get them to be actually together. The orchestrated. It looks like they're not going to win. They'll both come back, win in 7 games, and then they have the whole script and they have the dates and they say have the championship ready to give to the Lakers in LA. Well, the dumb thing is the person who made this thing up. It's not true. It's not a real document. Didn't realize that Boston has the home court advantage in the Game 7 of the finals because of the records, and that if they'd have to get the championship ready in Boston, because the Game 7 would be in Boston, not in LA. So there's a lot of like little things, clues that can tell you that this is not a real document. But you need to go look at stuff like that skeptically, because there's going to be a lot of fake stuff in this world with AI, GPT, all these different AI stuff coming out and deep fakes. You really got to watch everything really closely. There's a new commercial out with Ryan Reynolds, and it's not even Ryan Reynolds. It's like an AI version of him or like a fake version of him. And it's him on purpose. He's okay with it because he's part of the group, but you can watch it and you can see how fake it looks. But this is how our society is going to get more and more. There's going to be so much fake stuff out there. We all need to be very smart about sussing out whether something's real or not, because the world is just becoming more and more fake. And it's crazy. It's crazy, 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 crazy. But yeah, that's interesting about that ref reaction. That's funny, Tony. Nameless is saying, interesting take, MSJ. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Listen, I understand this with Becky. Becky really shouldn't have done what she did, but she had a passion. And in some ways, she wasn't sensitive to the situation. Now, it's weird when you have players in your league that can get pregnant. And that really is kind of a life choice. But in some ways, it's you want to get pregnant. You may not have a choice in when it happens. And people need to be kind of like delicate with those kind of situations. I don't think Becky was delicate in any kind of way with this situation. And that's why it came off really, really, really bad. So yeah, it's an interesting like whole thing. And obviously we don't deal with this stuff in the NBA. It's very, very much a WNBA issue, not an NBA issue. Maybe Becky would want to take an NBA job so she wouldn't have to worry about this kind of stuff with her players. I don't know. Monique is saying Keontae George looked good from the draft combine video I posted. Yeah, I watched that, Monique, and I was super impressed. He's the kind of guy I like better because in some ways his jump shot is fundamentally really good. The way he squared up and he was so straight up and his shot was the same every time. That's the reason why it kept going in like that. Sure, I love the hops and the ability for him to elevate near the basket and throw it down. But the thing I really like is his shooting technique his stance, and just how fundamentally good and sound it looked. Because he was bombing them, and he in the way. The other thing is he looked like he's the kind of jump shooter that can jump up and not necessarily be totally square, but he can get his shoulders squared even if he's turned away and make crazy shots over people still because he's that good, like with his fundamentals. So I definitely endorse Keontae George as a possible pick for us at pick number 13. Yeah, he looks really good. That combine footage you posted is amazing, Monique. I think Tom was very enthusiastic about it too. In fact, I love Tom's comments in our chat last night. He's saying, I love this part of the year when he gets to see these young athletes coming up and kind of speculate on how good they can be. I'm with you, Tom. I'm with you on feeling that too. Fiercely saying Dame's loyalty is honorable, but at the end of the day, I believe the goal of an NBA player is to win a ring amongst other accolades. My 2 cents. Yeah, but this is the thing. He's trying to put it out in the conversation that, you know what, you don't determine what my goals should be. I want my goals to be what my goals are. And if my goals are to play for one franchise my whole entire career and just let it ride and whatever happens, happens, so be it. He's basically, it's really good kind of exercise. And a lot of people need to do it in their own lives with certain specific things. Now, in his life, it's a championship ring. It could be in somebody else's life, there's some other accomplishment that they don't necessarily get. Well, does that truly define you? It's a really good exercise of letting go of expectations from other people on you and you just being like, well, that's not my expectation for myself. So that's kind of what the interaction is. And I love him kind of having that kind of friction against it. He's like, look, if I play for the Trailblazers and never leave and never win a championship, I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it. Why can't you be peace with it? Because everybody else has the championship or bust mentality, and Dame doesn't have it. I really respect that in a lot of ways. And in some ways, staying true to your own perception, caring only, about what you care about and not letting other people tell you what you should care about is a real strength. And I like it. Yeah. Nameless is saying Jordan Hawkins to the Raptors. Now, he's another shooting guard that's kind of undersized. I haven't really watched a lot of his highlights, but I did watch Van Hoot's piece on him on Basketball Rewind. And, he's interesting, but to me, he's not as attractive as Keontae for some reason. I don't know. I'll have to watch more Jordan Hawkins. But my first impression of him is we could do better. We could do better. And I even looked at his shooting stats, and like he's not a super, super good shooter. There's some things he's got to work on with his shooting. I have more faith in what I saw from Keontae, that's for sure. Nameless is saying he's the best shooter in the draft, mid to long range. Okay, well, we will have to see. I'll have to see more of him. Of course, his stock is inflated, Hawkins, because they just won the championship. We got to remember this too. Sometimes you don't want to get the flavor of the month just because they went all the way in the college championship. Sure, that is an accomplishment, and it does say something about being some of the best. But in some ways, it also has a side effect of inflating your value in a way because it's a recent memory, and everybody's kind of like, "Oh, well, he's the national champions, so he must be better than he is." It could be, that's inflating his value to a degree. We got to keep that in mind just in case. Denal's saying Hawkins, Wallace, maybe George, Bilal too. All right, Denal's got a good little list of players that are possible for the 13th pick with the Raptors. Mike's saying, wow, I will be here. I'm doing my video today. I could throw something together quick. Mike, if you want to put your face on blast, you're welcome to, but you don't need to. You don't need to. Just give me something with your graphics. I want your look of your channel in my picture for tomorrow. And if you want to put yourself on blast and put yourself in the picture, that'd be great. That'd be ideal. But also at the same time, you don't have to, because I know you've only done face reveals for like live streams here and there, but it's not really one of your normal things. But it's all up to you, Mike. It's your day tomorrow. Share the love club, Logical Raptors Fanatic. I told y'all we're going to do all kinds of different aspects of Raptors culture, and the content creators are important to me also. And that's why Mike's getting his share of the love club tomorrow. Also, his just regular attendance with us and his contributions here. I really do love Mike for what he does to help this channel here also. So I really do appreciate Mike. That's why we're doing his share of the love club. MSJ saying Nick Smith Jr. Okay, he is a natural scoring machine, smallish, but I would be happy with him. I think it would be go with a simple, pure shooter at this point. If he's there at 13th, decent pick in my opinion. Okay, he signs off on Nick Smith, MSJ. I think this is true. I think what you just described as far as what we want is really what we want. We need to go with a simple, pure shooter. We need somebody that's not going to need to develop their jump shot like Scotty. We need somebody who comes in already and they are just money. They're just somebody we know they're going to let it rip. It's probably going to go through the twine and it's going woo right through the middle. It's not going to touch the rim either. We want some shooter like that. If we're going to lose Gary Trent Jr. and possibly Fred this summer, we're going to have to make up some of that shooting for sure. So we really want to make sure we get some money shooters. And this draft pick needs to be a money shooter. I don't want an athlete. I don't want a big guy. If it's a big guy that can shoot, hell yeah, I want him. But they got to shoot. That is the number one thing. And they got to be a pure shooter, a natural shooter, somebody that comes ready to go, that can help us make shots right away next season. That's the kind of rookie I want next year. Yeah. Infamous is saying, I agree, Lex. Nick doesn't understand this may affect his future employment by another team. Other teams are watching. I know. It really reflects bad on him. In some ways, they say in life, a good life lesson is to take control of what you can control. And you can't control other stuff, but you can take what you can control, and then that'll make you look good because you took advantage of taking control of what you can control. You can control something here, Nick, but you're not taking advantage of it for whatever reason. And that's bad. That is very, 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 very bad. And in some ways, you're not doing yourself justice because other people can read into this and look at this. I really do think that Doc Rivers immediately put out a statement like this because he knows your situation like this, that he's aware of this. And in some ways, these other coaches are trying to make you look bad by being bigger people themselves. That's the thing. They could have easily felt burned and gotten their feelings like you, but they didn't. And in some ways, that shows an immaturity of you compared to them. And that's what I'm saying. Your stock is dropping in some ways because of this. People were mentioning the greatest coaches in the league right now. They're talking about Kerr, Popovich, Spoelstra, but your name is not involved in that conversation anymore, where it was like a year or so ago. That's what I'm saying. Your stock is dropping faster than you think. And you want to help it by being petty and not being professional? Yeah, that's your own downfall. It's your own downfall. Monique is saying Jim Sand is officially the longest assistant coach in Toronto. Love his family. His story hits different, though. Yeah, he has a very interesting life story. And we are so grateful and lucky to have him. And that's why we value him. And that's why he's still a part of our organization. We don't want him to have to move. We don't want him to have to uproot his life and do all that. We want him to just continue to be with us. And he is a fit and he likes it here. Nothing's wrong with it. He's not a part of the coaching problem. Boom, he stays. He's a part of our organization. He's an organizational coach, as Cool Cat put it earlier, and not necessarily a head coach's coach. So let's see. Mike is saying many fans wanted him gone. He's gone. Now everyone wants the clean ending, even though, in my opinion, we don't deserve it. Mike, how do we not deserve it? Seriously. Nick basically was ran out of town by the fans and the media. Yes, he screwed up, but the extra. Yeah, I can't agree with this, bro. Listen, you want to be a coach in the NBA, you have to be pressure tested. You have to be a big boy and wear big boy pants. And that's what these other guys are showing in their situation. It's not a thankful job. It's a thankless job. And that's part of the problem. The thank you should be to us. We're the ones who spend the money. We're the ones who go to the arena. We're the ones who buy the merchandise. We're the ones who support the team. We're the ones that make the team matter. That's why everybody said we can't do it without the fans, because the fans don't show up. They don't have nobody to play for. So he does owe us. I don't give a shit if there's some trolls out there, even myself, talking trash about him this season. Rightfully so at times, because you're screwing up on the job. You have to be thick-skinned if you're going to be the head coach of an NBA team. And he's not showing any kind of skin right now. He's showing thin skin, little wussy kind of stuff going on here. Like, seriously, Nick, you could show that you're tougher and be the bigger, tougher guy by doing this. I'm sorry, Mike. I know you love Nick Nurse. And I do too. I liked him just like you did in the past. But at this point, I can't defend him anymore. He's like stepped in it. He stepped in even further. It's like he made a couple mistakes during the season. He made a bunch of mistakes. He made more than 6 of George Karl's mistakes, as Masai puts it. And then he made the hugest mistake in Philadelphia. And now he's continuing to make mistakes. Like, this is another mistake on top of it. Just very poor judgment. If this is calculated by Clutch or advisement by Clutch, they're not doing you justice, Nick. In fact, they're trying to destroy your legacy with Toronto. Now, I totally disagree with you, Mike, that we do deserve a nice, happy ending with him, that it's not right for him to do this to us. He can do it to the players and the coach, the organization, but he shouldn't be doing it to the team, the fans. the fans in the city. And it's just not classy. It's not classy. It's very, very not classy, is basically what it is. The fans are going to say whatever they're going to say. This is just the landscape. We're going to have negative fans. We're going to have toxic fans, and they're not supposed to listen to them anyway. They should be listening to the fans, the kids that smile, the people they interact with in person, the real ones, the people that really show love and are passionate fans towards him. That's who I'm talking about. We can't let internet trolls be the whole like personification of our fan nation, because they are not. They're a little small minority that's just really loud and vocal, and that's why we hear them. Fuck them. They're not who we are. The negative, bad, toxic people in Raptors Nation. And we deserve a goodbye from Nick, regardless of those idiots. There's a higher percentage of us that do deserve it than the ones that ran him out, as you put it. And we shouldn't be able to run him out, by the way. He did it all himself. He should not have did the comments he did in Philadelphia. They were not like harmless. They were very destructive and really stupid. And that's why, like, I can't give him a pass on this. I do not see this the way you see it. He does. We deserve it just as much as anybody else. You think that Philly fans didn't ream Doc Rivers out constantly? You think that Philly fans weren't mean to Doc Rivers all the time? Yeah, that situation was probably even worse and nastier towards Doc. And he had no problem saying goodbye to Philly and being like doing the right thing. G saying, thanks for the prospect names, freaks. We'll look into them more. All right. I like this. See, we are like a think tank hive mind, because we all do our own independent research, and then we have our own independent opinions, and we share our perspectives, and boom, we can come together and have a better, well-collected idea of things because of that. I appreciate that. Yeah, do your work, G, and come back and tell me what you think. Cool Cat saying, we thank Nick Nurse for his tenure. He got his job after Casey got fired. Nick Nurse's action speaks volumes on what he allowed to transpire in the locker room. Believe who he is. He got fired for it. Yeah, it may be his complacency and not wanting to go take care of fires and put them out that may have been part of his demise. Maybe this is a fire once again that he's letting burn out of control that he is not going to put out. And that's irresponsible in some ways. Like, I really do think he coached our team very irresponsibly this year. The more I think about it and the way that he's gone out like this, I really have to think that. Casey had way more class in his firing after getting coach of the year that summer than Nick has had. Seriously, Casey, I can remember Casey writing something to us on his way out and doing the classy thing. And he could have been just as bitter and awful towards us. But no, he did the right thing at that time. That's what I'm saying here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We do. I thank him for the championship. I thank Nick Nurse for all kinds of things that he did to help our team over the last couple of years. But I don't thank him for this past year. In fact, fuck you, Nick Nurse, for this past year and anything you did with the Raptors this season. Nah, dog, you hurt us. You kind of put us in a worse place than we were. Nameless is saying, great take, Cool Cat. Yeah, I agree. Cool Cat usually has really on point, astute, amazing, badass opinions. And we really value Cool Cat's presence on this channel for sure. Isaac saying, where in the world is Nick Nurserino? It's like Carmen San Diego. Where in the world is Nick Nurserino? Yeah, I don't know. You can get on a plane, you can call, you can go around the world. You ain't gonna find him. Mike saying Pirtle and Siakam were the closest of the bench mob. Yeah. Well, I really think Pirtle's gonna stay. And Siakam be happy. I hate that hearing the more reports recently of Siakam's depression in the middle of the season was directly correlated to the team not getting along, and that he was super depressed. Like when I was reading his energy in the middle of the season, where he was really low key, I was like, man, his energy's so bad right now. He's like, I didn't realize it really was him putting out the energy what's within the team, that he's just so disappointed about how people were just not getting along. And that's come out to light recently, that a lot of his really downer kind of low energy stuff, that those times was really when things were really bad on the team. And he was kind of like the canary in the coal mine, telling us this is kind of how things are bad. Cause like Siakam's energy, he's depressed, and he's really kind of like, you can tell he's in a bad place in his head. That was directly reflecting when a lot of the conflict was happening on the team between individuals. That point, yeah, really bad. Nameless is saying Jakob is from Austria. He does not care about all the money in the world, I promise. There you go. There you go. I think you're right. I think that he plays for the right reasons, and he's playing because he loves the game and he wants to win, and he believes he can do that here in Toronto still. G is saying OG posting Gillette and Raptors just posted Ron Harper cooking with a Filipino chef. All right, let's check in with our Raptors on social media. First of all, I've got Rico Hines. He is at the combine coaching. That's really cool. We see Rico Hines, Toronto Raptors assistant coach, coaching the young prospects, and everybody's saying that they're really happy to get Rico's guidance at the combine. Then we got drip season still going on with the Raptors official account. This week it's Scotty versus Chris. You got to choose who has the best fit between Scotty and Chris. It looks like the red shoe bracket. You got Scotty in red shoes with his red shirt and his gold chain, and then you got Chris in red shoes with a green Oregon green kind of shirt with headphones on. Go vote for who you think has the best drip season. Who wore it best? Raptors. Yeah. All right. Then Scotty is really excited about the UFC card that's coming up. He sees these matchups. I know he's a UFC fan, and he's like, oh my God, he's going to be ready to see these guys match up. He's putting on blast his old team from NSU University School that had 4 future NBA players, and they're celebrating that. And the only one that I really recognize is Scott. Those other guys must be coming up. They may be guys that I just don't know about yet, but I will soon. We'll have to see. And Scotty is in Boca Raton. We see him on a beach. His feet are sandy, and it's probably way warmer than it is here. We've had an uncommonly cold May, which has been very strange. We should be kind of having summer weather at this point, getting close to the May 2-4 weekend. So Scott's actually getting his summertime in Florida so far this off season. No problem with that. Go see your friends, go to Florida State, take time and all your old haunts and just get that work in and enjoy yourself, Scott. That's all we care about. I don't care if you're on Twitch or you're in Toronto. I just want you to be safe and happy and enjoying your off season and getting good work in. All right, let's see. He's also posted this thing. I got to tell you some. Don't laugh. And then he has a picture of what's his name, Mackie from the Marvel movies, kind of making a funny face. I don't know exactly what that it means. Some kind of cryptic. And then we got Double Don. It looks like that Delano is in New York working with some players there and getting his court time in. He's getting his development court time in no matter what in different ways. And let's check in with Ron Harper Jr., who is at OVO getting putting on a shirt. He's cooking food, Filipino food in the kitchen like his grandma and grandpa would. And it looks like he's celebrating Asian Heritage Month by cooking with Chef Mark Buenaventura there in the Raptors kitchen at the OVO Center. Looks like, yeah, I like this. I like to see that Ron Harper is not afraid to get in the kitchen and mix it up and make some food. He's not above it. And I love it. Maybe he made some food for Jeffrey and Christian in the other room while they're working out. That's kind of cool. So it looks like he's marinating some chicken, really putting a rub on it. This is like breaking stuff. This just got posted an hour ago while it's got on the stream. Good stuff. All right, there's something that I need y'all to know right now. Not only is Nick Nurse going to get interviewed by the Philadelphia 76ers next week for the head coaching job, there's footage of Gary Trent Sr. at the Philadelphia 76ers practice facility, walking through it and looking at the jerseys of Moses Malone, Dr. J, and looking at all the great amenities of the Philly practice facility. I don't know what that means with relation to Junior, but it doesn't mean good things. Trust me. If we're seeing Gary Sr. in the Philadelphia 76ers training facility, that's not good. I don't know why he's there. Maybe he's just in town. He feels like walking around it. But this could portend something about Gary Trent Jr., just so y'all know. I don't like seeing Senior in the Philly practice facility. I do not like seeing that. No, I don't. So, yeah, there's a little check-in on the social media with the Raptors and the Raptors family. Good to know some of this stuff. Yeah. OG, of course, doing the Gillette stuff for sure. Nameless is saying Jakob cares about family, good wine and cheese, and laughter. And that's about it. All right. That's cool. Those are good things to care about, I guess. So, hey, and he cares about basketball too. MSJ saying Lowry was the coach. Nick Nurse was lucky to have a vet team. They won the chip, not Nick Nurse. He brought some new stuff, but it was just high school D sets. Nothing revolutionary. His exit is fine with me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, him getting fired, I was fine with, but I just wish he would be more classy. It really is kind of like a legacy thing. It's kind of like, well, we remember how Vince left, and it left us with a bad taste in our mouth. You want to leave with a bad taste in our mouth, Nick? That's not good for you historically going forward. Some of us will slam you, and they will remember this time. Casuals will be like, "Oh, he was the head championship coach. We love you, Nick, no matter what." But us real ones, like the Raptor freaks, we may kind of remember this and remember how you went out, and remember the bad part of it too. And some of the casuals will forget, but we won't. Trust me, we will not. And I can't disagree with MSJ on this. A lot of people say, Kawhi and Kyle, big part of the reason why we won the championship, and any coach could have done it. Dwayne Casey could have been the coach still, and maybe we would have won the championship with that exact same team. It didn't matter if we had fired Dwayne or not. That it would have happened with him also, just because that personnel, that uptick, that upgrade with Kawhi, it was just going to happen. So yeah, I mean, we can start saying stuff like this and sully you, Nick. That's the part of the problem. You don't want to bite the hand that fed you for 10 years. And in some ways, you're doing that. And in some ways, we could start painting a different picture of what you did and how you accomplished it, and what your actual contribution was, like MSJ is doing right here. Mike's saying, not gonna lie, the way I see Nick Nurse's time here, he was hired to coach a certain team, the championship team, and then COVID hit, and then we pivoted from that, and he was left with a completely different team not suited to him. Well, so you're saying he's got to be like Phil Jackson. He's just got to have like superstar, really good players to win. Well, see, there you go. That already says something right there. Some people really, really are critical of Phil Jackson and what he's done in his career, because what would he have done without Michael, Kobe, and Shaq? In some ways, that's very true. And if Nick Nurse has to be a coach like Phil Jackson in that kind of respect, okay, well then I'd like to see him try and do something like what Jamal Mosley is doing down in Orlando. Yeah, is he going to be able to do anything with that? It would have been hilarious if Nick Nurse had gone and coached the Houston Rockets in their situation, and we'd see exactly who he was, and maybe he is a fraud. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I mean, I get what you're saying, and that's exactly right. He was really good for coaching a very good vet team, but our team did morph, and he's not good for every kind of team in the NBA. That's obviously true. Let's see. Also, Mike saying Kawhi leaving set this all in place, the pivot, and now the need for a different coach. You could say that those dominoes kind of led to things, sure, but we always have to just stay present. We got to go with what's going presently right now. That's part of the biggest problem with people, is they get upset and because they can't get with what has happened and just be okay with it and go from there into the present. The moves that Masai makes, you can question them, say they were stupid, but we have to just stay where we are presently. It's not like we can go in a wayback machine and just change it around or something like that. We just got to go with what we have right now and make the best of what's going on right now. When the world is running down, you make the best of what's still around. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And we got a lot of good things going on. So yeah, I'm all about this. It's like he needed to be tough and be able to change with the ever-changing landscape of the Toronto Raptors organization's situation. And he wasn't really, he did good in certain ways. I think he did good in a lot of ways. The Tampa year was tough, and he weathered that pretty good. He did great last year, but this past season he did not do that great. He really failed this year. And whatever distractions, whatever personal shit, what other problems were going on in this team, he didn't help them. And in some ways, we needed the leadership of a stern captain and coach to tell these guys to get their act together and get it together. And he's not that kind of guy. He's a player's coach. He's too nice. And he kind of lets things he hopes things will stay good and good culture. But if they don't, he's not quick to try and fix it and kind of lay the hammer down on people to make it right. He lets it linger. Toxicity just kind of hangs around all year, and you get a mid result. And that's part of the problem I have with him. He needed to come and cut the head off the snake when the snake was starting to be a problem. And he didn't. He just didn't do it. It just hung around the whole time. That's part of being a leader and being a coach. And that's why I think his PhD is a sham, because his leadership is awful. Honestly, in a lot of ways, his leadership is really bad. MSJ saying at Logical, and then Lowry left, and we got the season we got. That tells a story. Lowry's a big part of it too. Lowry's a big part of our dog and our culture. And last season we did pretty good without him, but this season we did not. We really did not. And now if Fred's leaving us high and dry and he's taken off, well, then we're going to really have to find a new replacement for a possible Kyle Lowry dog leader on our team that will bring that underdog fight that we really, really thrived under for the years that Kyle was on our team. We're going to need somebody like that. If we end up with Chris Paul, that may be that kind of guy. Who knows? I mean, I'm really open to getting Chris Paul. If Fred's going to be going to Phoenix, I want to get their point guard in return because Chris Paul would be able to run our team soundly, and it may be a really interesting look to see him playing with people like Scotty and OG. It may be very interesting to see Chris Paul in a switch for Fred VanVleet in a certain way. So we'll have to see. Let's see. Nameless saying, yes, Lex, you are right. You are seeing Nick Nurse through a new lens. I want to believe the best. And of course, I'm a champion and protect the Raptors people and personnel as long as they're good standing with our team and what was happening. And Nick's not in that place right now. So I have to be maybe a little bit more opinionated and open to being derisive and negative about him. Cowboy's here. Good to see Cowboy. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freak. Sorry about yesterday. I was at work and forgot my charger. And where is Nurse for real? Also, Wallace, George, and Buffkin. I'd be happy with it within the draft. Let's go. All right, Bradley, make sure that you set your lineup for tonight. Go check out the league and see what you drafted and make sure you got your players playing for fantasy and WNBA starting tonight. I want all y'all to be ready. And so really get in there and set your lineup and set every day up for till the 28th. Go ahead and do it. You can do it ahead. Just flip to the next day, move everybody in that's playing, and just keep going and do it straight up. You're going to be playing, I think you're playing David in the first round there, Bradley. So you got to be ready for your head-to-head matchup with the Philadelphia Floppers, coached by David Saborin. So you go, Bradley, and no problem. The auto draft probably did you pretty good no matter what. You probably got some good players there. So, yeah, good to see you, Bradley. Mike is saying we need to self-check ourselves before grabbing new lens. We treated Nick like our personal whipping boy for all the shortcomings of the team. Him and Fred have been attacked relentlessly. Let it rest. I can see what you're saying, Mike, but no, because you know why? Because both of those guys I protected all year from other people that were coming after them. I really did. I was very much pro Nick Nurse this whole season. It was until that press conference I turned on him, and it was really like justified. So don't give me this. I was one of his biggest defenders this whole entire season. You can go look at all the receipts. You can look at all the different days I stood up for him and gave him the benefit of the doubt and said a lot of different things to try and help him. And I know I called them in joking ways, but in a lot of ways, most of the stuff I was doing was very much to protect him and keep him going as our coach. I can't get behind you on this. It's like I'm not self-checking myself on this because I'm staying present. And the present state of things with Nick Nurse is not good right now. It just isn't. It's like, seriously. All right. Do you want me to just forget about him and say, all right, closure is we're never going to get a statement from him. We should just move on. That's just how it is. I can do that. At some point, I will do that. But right now, it's still fresh. And until we see him lock in with another team or whatever his fate is, I'm going to still kind of talk about this being open-ended until then. And then if we do see him like take a job like Philadelphia and there's nothing, we don't hear anything at that point, I'm going to be like, yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. And I will come after him. Look, you've seen how I tear into Vince Carter. I have no problem tearing into former Raptor people that don't treat our franchise with respect on their exit. And this is that situation right now. Monique is saying, if you guys want me to look up a draft prospect, let me know and I'll do my take, etc. Thanks for the support, Lex. Tom and Isaac appreciate it. We really do. I mean, we're seeing all of her stuff in the chat on Facebook, and she's just dropping information constantly. Monique is such a great researcher, and she's very astute with looking at people and giving us the information. So keep doing what you're doing, Monique. Thank you. And as I said, we're a hive mind. We share the information, we get our own opinions, and we all come together and we kind of share them. And it all kind of gives us a nice, good, like general consensus. Maybe not everybody's on the same page, but at least we kind of get the general feel of people like us that are passionate about the team and how we feel about different prospects or subjects in Raptors world. So awesome stuff. Keep going too, Monique. Thank you for what you do. Cowboy saying Wallace got the defense a nice floater shoot and got a nice shooting for him also. I think the best is his character. He'd be perfect for us. Wallace, okay. Kaysen Wallace. Yeah, I'm hearing his name a bit, and that he is one of these guys like Keontae. It seems like he may be attractive. I haven't seen a lot of film of Kaysen yet, but I'm sure I will very soon. It could be today. Monique, maybe drop a Kaysen Wallace flick for me in the chat if you find one today. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph Phillips. But blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang, here to be informed. Yeah, we've got a lot of different things we're talking about today. Let me see if there's some other subject that I wanted to talk about that's in my things here. I really do just want to hammer home that everybody who of the 10 teams that are involved in our WNBA fantasy league, the league starts tonight. Don't miss the boat. Get in there right away. Monique, Gerald, Edmund, David, Fiercey, Cool Cat, MK, Gerald, as I said before, Tom Duke. Get in there and make sure you set your teams, because I want this to be a competitive league, and you really kind of give somebody a bye week if you don't meet them and come at them every week. It could be on some weeks you just don't have it because you can't get there and set your lineup, and somebody kind of has a cakewalk. That could very much help determine who wins this league. So consistent active participation to a degree is important. Even if you start today and just put in an active lineup for every single day through the whole season, you could do it for the whole season right now and never change it. You would be fine and be on autopilot for the whole season. So just put a little bit of work in now at the beginning, and you could set it up for the whole entire year right into September and not have to worry about it again. You just got to go through each day and put the players into the slots on the day that they're playing so that they get the stats collected. That's all. So, all right, let's keep going. Logical saying, funny how we played well against the Western Conference teams, and the Lakers got clamped for weeks after Nick showed how to defend him. Then the same with Jokic. Nick was great at certain aspects of coaching. I won't deny this. I think he's an excellent coach. I think he's a great coach. He is probably the best coach we've ever had for the Raptors in some ways. But I mean, serious, I'm just present right now. And where we're at with him present is not good, Mike. Now, if we can change this and get things to a better place, well, then I'll change back and I'll get back to being more respectful towards him. But right now, he's disrespecting us. So why should I respect him? Is kind of what I'm saying. Denal saying, Mo, look into Bilal. He's a total Messiah pick. Also, Jordan Hawkins and Cason Wallace. Yeah, these are all good names. These are names we're seeing, and that's who she's saying she's going to go check them out. Let's see. Cowboys saying, has anyone seen that Filipino playing for Winnipeg? He's fire. Winnipeg? What? You mean for the CBL or for who? I don't even know who you're talking about. Winnipeg? What basketball team's in Winnipeg? I'm going to have to find out what Cowboys talking about. Mike's saying the way things ended with Nick weren't good. Same with DeRozan. It takes time to get over raw feelings. Nick's whole life was set up in Canada. We say it's a family here, then get cutthroat is deeper. I totally get all that, but these coaches know this. Nick has known this all along, that like he has been a suitcase coach for so long. He's moved so many times. He's gone so many different places. He's been through this so many times before. This isn't his first rodeo. That's why it like looks so bad to me. Because he should be savvy and wise enough to understand this is the racket he works in. That this is just how it is. It's always been this way. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe he took things too much for granted. He was saying he really liked the privilege of coaching the Raptors, but maybe he took it to granted. And that's part of the reasons why he's at this place at this point. He didn't protect it. He didn't honor it. He didn't do the job correctly. And he lost the job. That's how coaching works. It's a thankless job that you take so much risk, you barely ever have success. And then when you do, it's really nice, but it's fleeting. You don't get to keep it. It's immediately like you got to come back in and what are you going to do next kind of mentality. So listen, I love that you care about him in a humanistic way, that you really like him. That's right. And that's a good thing. But it's different than DeRozan. We did DeRozan wrong. And all the fans were not like mad at DeRozan because it wasn't his fault. And he got it. And sure, he could be raw and not want to say things to us. But all along, I know personally that he never hated us, that it wasn't mad at us, the fans and the place. And in some ways, he may have not said anything to us, but it was because he was truly hurt. And maybe that's true. That is like in common with what's happened with Nick. And maybe that is part of this, is that he had to go take a time away. He's depressed and he's upset about it. And he doesn't know how to handle saying goodbye to Toronto. I can totally get behind that, but he needs to be strong. And that's part of the problem I have with him. He's been weak this year. He's been weak as a leader, weak with his like toughness, as far as like, this is a tough job. It's not easy. The losing can wear on you, but you still don't have a moment of weakness in front of a microphone pre-game in Philadelphia. and spill your beans like that. You're supposed to be tough. You're supposed to be hardened. You're supposed to be an example of leadership for your team. And if a player had done that, I would have come down on them just as hard as I came down on him. If they had said they were checking out already, the problem was, Mike, he listed what was important to him. And the first thing that was important to him was getting 2 weeks off to relax and reassess where he's going to be. That was number one priority. The second priority on his list was to get the team as far as he could in the playoffs. It was the order of how he did it. It signaled everything about where he was presently and where his head was. And that pissed me off because he still had a job to do. And in some ways, he ruined the ability for us to develop Scotty further in the playoffs by really messing us up right at the end. So, yeah, I can blame him for that. That's his fault. I'm mad at him for messing up our postseason this year and taking an opportunity away from these guys. How many years did these guys get to play in the NBA? And that is one of their end of the season advantage chances to do something in the postseason, taken away from whatever 7, 10, 13-year career that each of these guys has. So, yeah, it's messed up. He single-handedly derailed our season right at the end of it. I can't forgive him for it until at least he comes and talks to us a little bit. Seriously. Danelle saying, your boss tells you publicly to play guys, stop selfish play, and develop guys. You do none of that. You have people upset and you get fired. Why are you salty then? You messed up. Yeah, he messed up. This is all true what Danelle's saying. He went directly against what Masai wanted him to do. He flippantly did it. It seemed like he had a petty thing against Thad. There was a lot of weird bullshit that he was doing right near the end. And that was why these guys all looked lost. They were being professional in the way that we need to be coach with coach still, because that's how we are trained as professionals, to be professional and stay together, even though my wiring's telling me what the fuck is going on. And I don't get this at all. And the way the players have not embraced him since he left or talked about him is very telling. Is very, very telling. Monica's saying, I'd put Nick Nurse in Phoenix, not to run Chris Paul to the ground, but he's really a good coach. Just imagine if Monty comes in after that crazy, right? Yeah, we do a switch. We could do a switch with a couple different teams right now. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Phoenix. I think it's more likely we do a straight up coach switch with either Milwaukee or Phoenix than Philadelphia. But who knows? We have to see. I don't think Chris Paul's going to be in Phoenix. He's not a part of their plans. They said there are 3 people they don't really want on their team this year, and they got rid of one of them as the coach first. The other 2 are Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. So, but they may keep Ayton now that Monty's gone. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Chris Paul's gone. That Phoenix fans don't want him there, and I don't think the team wants him there either. So he could be a part of what I think might happen is they may do a sign and trade with Fred, and Chris is in the trade coming back towards us. That's what I could see happening. And it won't be just Chris. We may do a Fred and somebody else for Chris and one of their younger prospect players that are coming in with them. And that may be what we do. That's a move I could see happening. That may be more likely than the Portland move with Pascal, is a Fred sign and trade with Phoenix. Because it seems like the writing's on the wall for that. Fred wants too much money than we want to give him. Well, we may be doing a sign and trade like this. And Chris Paul may be attractive because he's near the end of his career and his contracts may be expiring and coming off the books in a way that may really help us with paying some of our guys like OG and Scotty. So it could really work out really well because we get a point guard to replace Fred if that is what happens. We'll have to see. Not that I want to get rid of Fred, but there's a lot of writing on the wall with him also right now. Let's see. Logical saying denial. The extra was talking about acting like he didn't do anything. He had a great effect on the development of the top guys, but couldn't fit a full 15 to 17 guys into the development. The issue. He failed at this. Mike, we've been complaining to him for a couple years that our Raptors are leading the league in minutes, and it shouldn't be that way. I've often said myself that I wish we did things more like Popovich with equality of nobody getting they were all average around 30 minutes a game. Nobody anywhere near 40 minutes a game. And this is a fail by him. I'm sorry. You can say that our bench wasn't good enough and stuff, but he could have been creative and sought and looked for ways to integrate them into regular minutes, whether it's the same guys or not every day. And that would have been enough to like just get a little bit of development for each one of these guys. So I can't agree with this. He failed on the development thing. He may have developed Scotty, he may have developed OG, he may have developed Pascal, but he didn't develop Coloco, and he didn't develop Delano, and he didn't develop some of the other guys that were important to Masai. And that's why part of why he got fired. MSJ saying, thanks for the stream, Lex, and everybody have a good day. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up before 2 hours. Denal saying, I respect your opinion, Mike, but you're wrong. The man's boss himself said he wasn't happy with what was happening with the team. Why was Nick developing guys who his boss wasn't talking about? Yes, and yes. Unfortunately, Mike, I got to side with these guys at this point, but I really do admire how you're standing up for Nick like this. And in some ways, I'm glad you're doing it. We need a counterpoint of this issue, and maybe we are a little too out of pocket of going after him. It's just I'm hurt by this. I want to know that he respects us just like Budenholzer respected Milwaukee. I want to know that he respects us just like Monty Williams respected Phoenix. I want to know that he cared and it mattered what he did here, just like it does with Doc in Philadelphia. So, man, yeah. Okay, Cowboys all ready to take down David Saborin in that fantasy WNBA. You're going down. Yeah. Paul B saying maybe Nick Nurse is waiting to post a goodbye in those player tribunes or something. Who knows? Maybe. I mean, I'll take whatever at whatever point. It's just, is there something coming? That's what I'm worried about. Mike's saying, Denal, I hear your issue. Hang on. No more comments, guys, because I'm going to finish up very, very soon. I hear your issue. I would say this issue is not a new one. In every sport, GMs build the team with a certain way of playing the roster, and sometimes the coaches see it differently. Yeah. I mean, I get with what you're saying. Country Kong's here. Scotty Barnes, Twitch family in the house. Good morning, Raptors freaks. Happy Friday, everyone. I just wanted to remind everyone that my favorite prospects at the 13th pick in order are Keontae George, Jeff Howard, Kobe Buffkin, and Nick Smith. That's a great list, Country Kong, and thank you. I'm really impressed with Keontae, too. I love the combine footage that's come out recently of him. He looks really good. I love his shot. His shot looks so square and set. Ooh, G saying, looking at some of these 13 pick prospects, I'm getting excited about the draft. Yeah, we should be. We should be. And who knows? We may be moving where we are picking. Who knows? There may be some sort of move before the draft. We're going to have to see. Denal saying, but if my boss tells me X and I do Y, I can't be salty and upset that I get fired. Nick seems to have tried to override Masai's vision, so he had to go. Most fans wanted to see Masai's vision. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's a conflict of interest, and he's just not doing what he was directed to by the boss, and that's a big part of it. Cowboy saying, everyone have a blessed day, Lex and Raptors. Bam, later. Good luck to you, Bradley. Have a great weekend. Mike saying, Denal, it's not that simple. The coach needs to win with the roster as is. Nick's system is built on shooting, and he felt he didn't have enough shooting to play those guys. It's on a different page thing. That's stupid, though, because these guys can shoot. Joe Wieskamp is a great shooter. He should have used him better. Jeffrey Doughton Jr. is a good shooter. He could have used Jeffrey way more this year in different kind of shooting kind of things. So, yeah, I can't get behind this still with you, Mike. He had the opportunity to use certain guys in specialty roles, but he didn't. And Joe Weezy is a good example. He didn't say that, Lex. Take a 2-week break, then push for playoffs, bro. It was all over before 2 weeks. How does that work? No, Mike, what I'm saying is he had an order to how he said things. He came into the press conference. They didn't ask him a specific question. They just asked him, how do you feel this season is gone? And then he went into this whole thing where he's like, well, first of all, this season, I would like to say that I want to take 2 weeks. He said his priority list, basically. He said, my priorities right now are this. And the number one thing that was his priority was to get 2 weeks off to break. Like, he listed them in order what was important to him. That's what I'm saying. That's a tell. When somebody tells you what's important to them, you listen to the first thing they say. And the first thing he said was vacation and time to reflect. And then as an afterthought, he's like, oh, yeah, and I want to see these guys do really well and get far in there. That's the thing I'm talking about, Mike. You can watch it. You'll see the order he did it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. That was his biggest fuck up in that whole conversation, in that press conference. He did a tell that told us he checked out and that he only cared about getting to the end so he could rest. He didn't care about pushing it as far. He looked like he was broken and beaten down and that he couldn't take a long playoff run. Like, he just didn't have it in him. He might as well have been an injured player that couldn't play in the playoffs. He was injured in his spirit. And that's why I knew we were done. We're fucked if the coach is like that. Seriously.
So it is on his fault. It's because he should have been strong enough to be powerful enough. It's a mental battle. It's not a physical battle with him. And he lost the mental battle, is what I'm saying, Mike. G saying, I think in a way, Masai's press saying people can dream of getting Nurse was not good for the situation. It probably made Nurse feel immune, and then he may have felt blindsided, not blaming Masai. This could be true. I thought about this also, that he pumped him up and made him seem like he's so ensconced that he's untouchable. Well, they figured out a way to make him untouchable. Or maybe Nick's, like I said, I have a theory he sabotaged the season on purpose. And that's part of the reason why he's not saying anything afterwards, because he very much was not a good person for the Raptors this whole season. He was sabotaging our team left and right. Some of these games that we lost and were close, it looked like he threw them from a coaching standpoint in certain ways. So, I mean, there's a lot I can dig into and say that he was even worse than you think for this season, Mike. Seriously, I really do think he threw some of our games as not coaching intensely in moments where we should have been coached very intensely to take it home in a close game where we just kind of rolled over and lost at the end of the game. You tell me you didn't feel that this season in some of the close games that we lost, that he just rolled over and died and let us like lose when he wasn't like doing anything to help us at the end. I'm telling you, that was there. Denal saying he said we'd have growing pains. I'm sure if Nick was developing guys and we were losing, he would have lost his job because he was following boss's orders. Masai would have backed him in the media. That's what I'm saying. If he had developed them and we lost, if he had gotten good gains in developing like Koloko and Banton this season, he would probably still have his job. He could have lost 10 more games this season and he'd still have his job if he'd just done what Masai told him to do. That's part of the biggest problem there. Mike's saying if people want to label it as good or bad and just that, okay, say he was a bad coach. I don't say he's a bad coach. He was bad for us this year. He's a bad leader. How about that? He's a really good coach. He knows X's and O's. He knows basketball, but he's a horrible leader. That's what I'll say. How about that? Fiercey saying, unrelated question. Why is Reggie Jackson benching so much in Denver? He wasn't that bad with the Clippers and played way more minutes. He has a weird career where he's not always used. It was the same way in Detroit. It's like he was on and off sometimes. Sometimes they'd use Reggie and sometimes he just sat on the bench. It may very well be that he's not just a part of like their really good thing going. And sometimes that's like, you don't want to mess that balance. He may be insurance off the bench. If one of the other guys gets hurt, then they'll plug him into somebody else's minutes as the next guy in. But he's also near the end of his career. You got to remember that also, Fiercey. He may not have the exact same skills as he did. And also remember, the Clippers let him go. There's a reason why they didn't see value in keeping him in LA. So Fiercey's also saying, agreed. Nick Nurse's last season wasn't optimal, and his presser was very telling of his mindset and allegiance to the team. Yeah, he gave up. He's defeated. He looked like a defeated man that had no fire, and you don't want him leading your team if he's like that. In fact, he could do more damage if you keep him around. Denal saying, I'm not saying he was a bad coach, just that he didn't follow the vision of his boss, which explains the exit. He's a great coach for a certain team. He's a great coach. We love him. He may be the greatest Raptor coach right now, but he's not presently right now to us. All right, well, last couple ones. Mike saying he failed in certain aspects, just like every coach. No coach is perfect for every team. Nick's strengths as a coach didn't match the current roster anymore. That's not a bad coach in my mind, W Stream. That's fine. You can say he's not a bad coach. I'll agree with you. He's a bad leader. Now, once again, I'll just say that. In his end of season, Nick answered the question of what happened there. He wanted to end the contract questions by saying he wasn't thinking about his contract. He wanted folks. Yeah, but he fucked up. He did it opposite. What he said then at the end of the season should have been flipped with what he said then. What he said in Philadelphia during the season should have been what he said at the end of the season. And what he said at the end of the season should have been what he said at that season part. Because what he said didn't put the fire out, Mike. He put gas on the fire when he said what he said in Philadelphia. It wasn't effective. And if he's a good leader, he should know what effective leadership is. And he's not. And that's why I can say he's not a good leader, because he had poor judgment and leadership in that press conference. If you had just swapped the Philadelphia press conference for the end of season press conference and you'd just swap what he said there to there, they would make more sense. The puzzles would fit better. He's like, oh, he's saying this. Okay, he's trying to put the fire out. No, he wasn't trying to put the fire out. He was pouring gas on the fire to make the flames go up even higher so he could leave, bro. You're not getting it, Mike. You're not getting it. He orchestrated his exit, and you're not getting it, bro. We'll celebrate you tomorrow, Mike. All right, let me finish this up. I'm already over 2 hours. I didn't want to go 2 hours. W Stream Lex all around every single day. Keep at it. Always things are slowly stirring. I can't wait. You go, Monique. You go, Monique Lawrence. And Niall saying WWW on late game take, Lex. I completely can tell that at times. No idea what that was about. Well, the body of evidence is from the years before. The excellent execution by Fred in the year before told a lot. We could win the year before in Scotty's rookie year. We could win in the Tampa season. We could win close games if the games were actually close. That's why it's fishy to me. It's totally fishy. Mike's saying, I can agree on that. He leads from a place where he expects everyone to come 100% and connect. All right. Love you, Mike. Love you guys. W Stream, Fiercely Salsera. Appreciate all of y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back tomorrow. Saturday, share the love club. Mike, we're doing Logical Raptors Fanatic tomorrow. We're going to share the love for Mike tomorrow at 9:30. So please join us. Let's go Raptors. Yeah, baby. Raptors, baby.